2% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't lived the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and damn, they sent me where the life is be. The level 4 with depth and fights, the type of shit they like to see. True choices fight or flee, I refuse to die a chump. I never been a bitch, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get punked, some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5. Year-long racial fights when homie, all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole, causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, bulldogs and skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF and Gumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. The Northerners was loony, quick to ride up on their rivals. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in their Bibles. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damoos, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IEs, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pie Rules, the Hustlers quick to roll, the Gangsta Crips move. Whatever clique you choose, you better stick to.
Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to Life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing on the intro, and if you want to get that song is finally available, both versions on a 10-song EP, and you can get it on digital download. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Digital download directly from me. Hit me up on my email at 16tolifemusic@gmail.com or send me a DM on Instagram at 16tolife. Cash App me $20 or Zelle me $20 and I'm going to get it to you ASAP, man. Now let's hop right up into this video right here. So today I'm going to be talking about gang members from the Inland Empire area being involved in pushing with Los Angeles politics, Los Angeles gang-banging politics when they go to prison. For those of y'all out there who don't know, the Inland Empire consists of 2 counties, Riverside County and San Bernardino County. Now, San Bernardino County is the biggest county in the world, man. For those who don't believe me, look it up. Yeah, I said it, man. Check it out. So anyway, let's start right here, right? So back when the A-Tray Gangsta Crips and the Rolling 60s fell out and went to war, that pretty much divided a lot of gangs along 2 lines, man. Either you was a gangster or you had affiliations or alliances with the gangster car, or you had affiliation or alliances with the hoodster car. Now, I know you have a lot of individuals not from the LA area or the California area who may not be familiar with that gang jargon terminology. So let me break it down to you a little bit if possible, right? So you had gangs who were, by the title of their hood, pretty much was gangsters. Pretty much like, okay, you got the A-Tray gangsters, you got the Broadway gangsters, you got the Faux-Tray gangsters, you got the Marvin gangsters. And so when dudes who fell under that gangster banner would go to prison, they would hang together in a car known as the gangster car. The same way you had dudes who fell under the banner of the Hustlers, who were neighborhood Crips by way of title or the way they named their hood. The Rolling 60s, neighborhoods. Rolling 90s, neighborhoods. Rolling 40s, neighborhoods. 5-5 Crip, neighborhoods. And many other gangs who either fell under those two banners, or they had alliances with those banners, right? And so historically, a lot of those gangs have been beefing for a long time in a beef that was exclusively to the LA area, right? And those gangs, like I said, who fell under those 2 banners. Now, you have individuals who will argue that Crips and Bloods is a LA-based thing, which is true. There is no argument about that. Nevertheless, Crips and Bloods, of course, we know at one point in time migrated beyond LA and spread to other parts of Southern California. Now it's pretty much all over, right? But so you do have Crips and Bloods in the Inland Empire area, San Bernardino and Riverside County, even though this is something that is more exclusively to Crips than Crips and Bloods, right? So back, of course, in my day when I was going to prison, you didn't have gangs from the Inland Empire involve themselves in the Los Angeles-based politics in terms of hoodsters or gangsters. You know, actually, it was very rare to even find gangs in the Inland Empire area with those titles in their names, even though there was a few. You did have individuals individual gangs like Meade Valley Gangsters. You had the PPHGs, Pence Player Hustler Gangster Crips, and a select few of those individuals you could find back in my time pushing with the gangster car, even though you could find some individuals pushing with the Inland Empire car as well. Then you also had, I remember, Death Wish Gangster Crips, though they would push with the Inland Empire in the IE car. Reason being is primarily because you had more things in common with individuals who was from the same area that you were. If you happen to be from the Inland Empire, let's just say, and you pushed with the gangster car. When those dudes would sit around talking about high schools, females, liquor stores, parks, you basically couldn't involve yourself in the conversation for lack of growing up and being out there and lack of knowing anything about what they were talking about, right? So even though you may have had individuals who were from gangs that fell under, would not necessarily fell under the gangster banner, but had gangster in their name, they would push with the Inland Empire. Case in point, I recently found out one of my homies, one of my younger homies, he pushes with the gangster car. You know, the name of our hood, of course, is, well, my generation is East Side Player Gangsters, and the younger generation is East Side Park Gangsters, right? But the reason why I disagree with that is this here, right? So, like I said earlier, the gangster car historically have a predetermined already beef with certain individuals, certain gang members, just being from where they are from, right? So when you push with their car, especially in prison, you inherit their beefs in the event something goes bad, right? So say you happen to get into it, you get into a you get into a beef involving yourself over something that happened in prison, as I have many times seen it before, when certain cars, who don't get along on the streets, happen to get into a beef in prison, right? And so you get into it, you guys may jump an individual based on him having a certain affiliation to a certain gang. Now, let's just say 3 or 4 years later, both, the dude who got jumped is on the street. Now, we all know that gang members migrate and they go different places, so on and so forth. So now you may have a dude, right, who just got jumped. He's in an area and he happened to ask somebody, "Hey, homie, where you from?" This dude tell him, "Hey, man, I'm from East Side. I'm from East Side Park Gangster." Now, 5 or 6 years before that, he wouldn't have tripped because this is the LA. This is a IE based gang. This is somebody that he doesn't beef with, right? But now, due to the fact that you played a part in jumping him, now, so when he asks this dude, "Hey man, where you from?" and this dude replies, now this dude may feel, okay, I'm just to get some revenge on this dude, even though this is not the individual who jumped me, but they represent the same gang, and pop, pop, pop. He busts on this dude, kill him and lay him down because one of his homies chose to involve himself in some politics that historically and geographically is not their politics, right? So, like I said, man, you have individuals. Let's just give you another example. You have individuals, man, who from LA gangs historically beef with, let's just say the Hoovers, right? So now, recently, well, not necessarily recently, but maybe in the last 10 to 15 years, you have gangs in the Inland Empire now who represent the neighborhood banner. And so, well, of course, the neighborhoods beef with the Hoovers. And so now it's potentially bringing your homeboys into something that they would have not been involved in had these individuals not went to prison and rode with the neighborhood car. Because once again, Los Angeles is maybe about 45 at least to 60 minutes away from the Inland Empire, right? So these beefs in prison are not the beefs that people from the Inland Empire are having on the streets, if that makes any sense to people out there listening, right? And so this is primarily the reason, right, I disagree, and I don't necessarily understand why you have individuals from the Inland Empire involving themselves in Los Angeles politics when historically gangs in the Inland Empire have not beefed along those lines. Like, you don't have gangs, could be, especially back in my day, right? There were no that I can recall neighborhood gangs. You know, there was no gangs who represented the neighborhood banner in the Inland Empire, and beefed with gangs in the Inland Empire who were gangsters strictly on those two associations alone, right? So it's a different dynamic, right? And so you have gangs in the Inland Empire, whether they are Crips or Bloods, who are beefing with other gangs in the Inland Empire, behind territory, behind what have you, behind a lot of things, with the exception of strictly being because this dude claims a gangster. This dude is a gangster, and I'm a hustler, right? And so that's pretty much the problem right there, right? And so the question is to be asked: why do you have some individuals who will either push with the Los Angeles politics when they go to prison, or even be from the Inland Empire but choose to claim a Los Angeles based gang, which they are not from? And you know, in my opinion, it has to be that they feel um, validation. It's like they get more validation representing a Los Angeles based game, because let's just keep it 100, right? You don't have all cats from LA, dudes from LA, gang members from LA, not all of them, but you have some of them who do frown on individuals who are not from Los Angeles based gangs, right? I've heard Brick Baby say not too long ago, oh man, that dude, he out there, he from IE somewhere. And I've heard other gang members from LA make what some people will take as disparaging references to dudes who are from the Inland Empire. Case in point, Loose Cannon. A lot of times you'll hear a lot of dudes say, "Oh man, that dude from IE somewhere." Like it's a step down, right? And so I believe that a lot of dudes, they feel that they will be more respected if they happen to claim a gang that's based out of LA. But the cold situation is, when you are representing this gang from LA, the dudes who you are hanging with, they know that you're not from LA because they have not grew up with you. They have not, you know, you cannot involve yourself in the conversations about schools, females, liquor stores, nightclubs, so on and so forth. So you do also have many of those same individuals who you are choosing to associate yourself with in prison, look down on you as well, because you are not seen as a official individual, right? And a lot of times when there's a situation to be handled, they'll turn you into what's known as a torpedo. You know, they feel like, okay, well, you know, we got the homie right here, man, Jay Killer. We got the homie right here, C-Loke. We got the homie right here, you know, Ryder. We already know they with the business, so we not just to send them on the mission and take a chance at them getting caught up and going to the hole. So we gonna send you. You know, you go prove yourself. And it may not be said like that verbatim, but you can believe without a question of a doubt. In many cases, that's just the way it is, right? That's just the way it is, right? So now just say, okay, you got gangs like, you know, you have gangs who have other sections in other cities. Okay, let's just say you got the Hoovers, right? And we all know there are many different streets to the Hoover streets, but then they also have a sect out in Fresno, the Fresno Hoovers. Now, right, so it would make sense if you're from Fresno Hoover, when you go to prison, you of course align yourselves with the Hoovers, right? Because you are representing something that is specifically a gang that is a specific section, right? But once again, like I said, in the Inland Empire, it's not like that for the most part. You know, you have various gangs like the California Gardens, the Rialto Five Times, you know, just numerous different gangs, the Fontana Track Gang, you know, gangs that are out here. And while they are Crips, they are not representing a gang that is a specific gang out there in Los Angeles. So of course, by being from a certain area, when they come to prison, they would automatically affiliate themselves with those who they have more in common with, outside of the fact just being Crips, so on and so forth, right? But and like I said, this is the problem, because then you potentially you represent something that's LA based, and then you inherit their beefs, which potentially could also make its way back to you back to your homies, so on and so forth. And something that could have been avoided had when you came to prison, you just pushed with the collective that you're from, or you just represented your town, represented your county, represented your neighborhood, so on and so forth, right? So it's very different, right? And like I said, it's been a while since I first went to prison, 1996, and even when I paroled, things were changing along those lines. I remember one time sitting at a table and you had a Crip who was from LA and you had a Blood who was from LA, and they were kicking it, laughing, joking with each other, playing cards, cousin and blooding each other, which is something that was not done back in my time out of respect. A Blood didn't want to hear nobody say cuz, and vice versa, right? But these two dudes are laughing, they kicking, they joking, they hanging out. Now keep in mind, one is a Crip, one is a Blood, but both of them happened to beef with a common enemy who was a Crip, right? So I guess they had chose to make an alliance. And you hear a lot of times people mention the Suwoop moving and grooving, which is, you have Bloods, you have gangsters, and you have Hoovers kicking it, right? And so once again, things have changed, things change on the streets due to alliances, breakups, street beefs, and so on and so forth, right? So for an individual from the Inland Empire to potentially inherit a beef that geographically he would not be involved in on the streets because he's so far away from that situation, in my opinion, like I said, makes no sense, man. But anyway, already know dudes is gonna do what they do, man. But I've had a lot of dudes asking me, to just speak on this and wondering why today that you have a lot of youngsters from the Inland Empire choosing to go that route. And at the end of the day, man, my feelings on that are, you have, of course, a lot of youngsters nowadays who are not receiving the knowledge. They are not being laced right. They are because let's keep it 100, man. Gang banging is already a follower type situation, right? And so the less education that an individual has, the the more the more of a rogue individual he is potentially liable to be, because he has not been laced with a certain script. He doesn't have the information. So when he goes to a place like prison, he tries to fit in and he tries to do what feels will suit him best and give him the best look from other individuals, man. Anyway, that's my take on that, man. Should dudes from IE be involved in the LA gang politics when they go to prison? You already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to Life. Resume normal program.